So, Sonic Frontiers. Oh, Sonic Frontiers certainly has been a very interesting game to cover in the past couple weeks and such, because its review has just been drowning in controversy. I mean, seriously, I don't know how the game is still alive. It's absolutely crazy. So Sonic Frontiers has certainly garnered a lot of different criticisms and such, and one thing that I really want to talk about in today's video is the marketing. I've seen a lot of opinions going around on how the marketing of this game is terrible and how it's basically doing no favors in terms of selling the game. I do understand where people are coming from, because I think the game definitely has shown a lot of interesting things that you don't typically see from most video game reviewers, and it definitely has created a wide array of opinions throughout the community and beyond. But I personally think that the marketing of this game has actually been really good, and I have two main reasons as to why I think it's really good. So stay tuned to the end of the video to hear both reasons and see if you agree with me or not, and just let me know that in the comment section below. Seeing the reactions across the whole fandom, it definitely makes sense why the marketing is being questioned, because many fans are absolutely worried, for instance, about the title from what they've seen. I think the game has huge potential, but it looks very messy from what I've seen in both world and combat gameplay. The combat is very stiff, especially the in-air combat. He seems to be standing and floating on some sort of invisible air floor. And what the fuck is that spinning animation? Overall, very underdeveloped game that needs a lot more time if they want this to be the best Sonic game and redeem him after Forces. The world looked pretty bare and Sonic seemed a little stiff, and I don't know if it was the journalist playing or the game itself that capped Sonic's speed so quickly, but it looked like Sonic stopped accelerating too early at his top speed without boosting, which made it look not very fast paced. It reminded me of those many Roblox Sonic demos, but with the higher dismantling graphics. Not really impressed. Stiff animation that poorly conveys combat, rails that feel like they were placed without rhyme or reason, empty world, Forces motto, combat looks really button mashy. I hate that I can't be excited for this like many others. I think it'll just be okay. Other fans are more optimistic about the game though. From what we've seen so far, I think it's great. I'm still a little on the fence still because we haven't seen a lot of gameplay yet. Just glad that Sega's back to taking risks for this game. So far, it's looking awesome. The extended combat looks promising, and so does the open zone, especially with the return of the boost mechanic. Sure, it's got the open world DNA or towers and whatnot, but I'm looking forward to it. Heck, there's even a weather system. 10 out of 10. It's looking really good. The visuals are stunning, the gameplay is interesting, and the location of the world is so cool to explore. So with these diverse reactions, I totally can understand why people are criticizing the marketing of this game. So let me get into why it is I think the marketing for this game is actually really good. My first point is we're actually going to talk about what Sega did show, which was these two gameplay videos that were like 7 or 8 minutes long each, one focusing on the exploration with Sonic and one focusing on the combat. And so many fans are really critical about this showcase, as they felt they showed off the game as being really awkward and boring and just not really having a lot to do in it. People just felt like it didn't seem like the exciting Sonic game that we've all come to know and love. In fact, I saw many people attempt to make their own trailers to this game, which had like more upbeat music, higher jump cuts, less of the footage being shown, more so just kind of like cutting out the boring parts and showing off what was exciting and such. While I think that's smart from a marketing stance, I'm really glad that Sega actually released these two videos and that we got to see the game no holds barred, just basically someone going through the game, playing it like straight on without any like gimmicks and such, just kind of really getting to see like what it is we're going to be in for when it comes to this game. I think that's something that more developers should do actually, and the reason for that is because I feel like we got an honest look at what the game actually looks like. There's no bullshit of the footage and such, and so you got to see the game in terms of what it actually is going to feel like when you play it. And the best part about this is that Sega is now getting feedback from people watching the gameplay about what it is they like about it and what it is they don't like about it. It's hard to get feedback for a game if the trailer was just like a flashy 1 to 2 minute thing that had tons of jump cuts and lots of dramatics and such, but it's a whole nother thing to release gameplay footage like this as your very first showing of the game and have people be able to actually see what the game plays like and be able to offer their own insight into it without actually playing the game. Like for instance, something that I saw very often here in terms of a comment is the lack of momentum based physics in this game. You know, there's a lot of things like Sonic not gaining speed when he's running down a hill and such, or Sonic just maintaining the same speed on a rail despite going uphill and such. And so these are things that people are talking about in this game, and hopefully Sega and Sonic team are actually seeing these comments and will make certain adjustments to the game before it's released to kind of accommodate for those comments. And so I think this is great whenever a company does this, like show us an honest view of what the game looks like, because there's so much marketing nowadays that is made to prop up a game higher than it actually is. I mean, you've seen those like epic E3 presentations that like really promise this like earth-shattering game, but then you actually play the game and it's like, oh, it's just another regular action adventure open world game and such. And so I really do appreciate Sega actually putting out this footage. It probably wasn't to their benefit, to be honest, but I think it's also created a lot of discussion around the game, and it's definitely made Sonic Sonic Frontiers a lot more heavy in the headlines than I think it would have been if it was just like a regular trailer that like Forces came out with. I do think that this gameplay trailer, despite all the feedback not being positive, it's gotten the game's like name in the headlines, and it's made the game a much bigger topic of discussion than it would have been otherwise. So I don't know, that's just my personal opinion. I really do appreciate a company being more honest with their marketing and such, and so I do think like whenever a company does this, I just highly appreciate it. It's really nice to be able to see the game like form like that at this point, not 1 or 2 months before the game comes out, but like a good like 6 months before the game comes out. My second point, however, is what Sega has not shown. While Sega was fully transparent with the gameplay and such and letting us see like the gameplay full on like this, they've been very hush hush about pretty much everything else when it comes to Frontiers. So we know almost nothing about the storyline, we don't know about other zones that are in the game, we don't know anything about the cyberspace levels. Like there's still so much about this game we don't know about, and people are freaking out over it because how can Sega like expect to sell this game if they don't show off what this game is actually about? Like why don't we have like a story synopsis trailer, for instance, or why don't we have like a gameplay trailer showcasing more of the game beyond just this like one open zone, because it just looks like it can't do anything besides just walk around this open grassy fields and such. It seems like in Frontiers, like without an idea of what the storyline is, you're just running around this open world with no rhyme or reason, and that's just something that doesn't seem like a very exciting thing from a marketing perspective. But here's where I disagree with that. Takashi Iizuka actually did this interview for IGN that explains exactly what they're doing with the marketing of this game that I think sheds a little bit more light as to why they're using this approach. So I'm just going to insert that clip right over here so you can hear him say it himself.
ストーリーにしても、いわゆるソニックのゲームっていうのは、悪いことが起こった、なんとかしようっていうふうに、すごくダイレクトにお客さんに何をしなきゃいけないか、何をするストーリーなのかっていうのが分かりやすく表現してたんですけども、今回のソニックフロンティアに関しては、この島にたどり着いたソニックが一体何をすればいいのか、何をすれば友達を助けられるのか、そういういろんな疑問に対してお客さんもソニックも一緒になって島を探してそれを見つけ出すっていうところがこのSonic Frontier のテーマ。
Sonic Frontiers is not this in-your-face experience that we're used to coming from Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic Frontiers is filled with mystery and intrigue, and its intention is not to give too many details away. They want you to discover that when you get the game. They don't want you to go into this game knowing exactly who the bad guy is or anything like that. They want you to just kind of like be interested by like what the game is actually portraying and then go in there to find out what it is. And with Ian Flynn helming the story, I think we're in for a really good treat here. You know, judging from how much people like what he does with the comics and such, I think we can expect something that's really interesting, and I personally think it'd be a shame if I was spoiled by a lot of what was going to be in the game before getting it, because, well, if they have an interesting storyline and this is how they want us to discover it, then I kind of want to join a ride and just let them like guide me through the journey the way that they see fit. And this is how a lot of like really popular games are marketed as well. I mean, Kirby and the Forgotten Land is probably the one game that comes to my mind. There's basically no like reason as to why Kirby ends up washed up on this island and such when we first like heard about it. We only got more details like a month before the game came out, and so I think it's also a little bit too early to expect all that stuff to come out as well, because in reality we'll probably hear some more details about it because, you know, Sega is Sega and they're gonna want to just release some more information before the game comes out. But I don't think we should be in such a rush to learn all this info and such, because I think this is the kind of game where the most enjoyment comes from just like kind of going into it with no idea of what's going on and just kind of discovering it for yourself. That's how video games used to be played. I mean, we didn't used to have like the internet and stuff. We used to just see a fancy commercial for a game and just buy it and just kind of go into it and see what's going on. And Sonic Frontiers just seems like that kind of game that's going to really benefit from that. And so maybe people have a point in terms of it not really grabbing audiences, but there's a lot of open world games and such that are set up like this. I mean, Death Stranding, for instance, there wasn't really much that we could tell from the game beyond that initial trailer. So that piqued a lot of people's interest just from that alone. So I can see why they're trying to do this similar thing with Sonic here, because that's what this game is. That's what the setup is. It's trying to be like this mysterious open world like adventure. So I don't know, I think just give it a chance. Let's say I kind of like take us on a journey that they want to take us on and kind of see if that leads to better enjoyment when it comes to the game coming out. And so I have one last point, you know, to basically sum up as to why I think people are so like paranoid about this game, basically, because it is one thing to be worried about a game, but it's a whole nother thing to just like kind of freak out over the smallest details as soon as we see them. I actually was guilty of this as well. When I first saw that initial gameplay review, I was really upset about it because I was like, there's no momentum-based physics here. Like, Sonic is not going to be good to control. I was freaking out over it, and I was just like, I'm done with Sonic Team. I'm absolutely done with them. And I was going to make a whole video saying like why I despise Sonic Team and don't want them to make games ever again. Oh boy, yeah, my 10-year-old self was definitely coming out of that one. Now that I've had some time to think about it, the reason why I think people are just like really freakish over this game is, and I know someone's going to roll their eyes when they hear me say this sentence, but you know, you can't deny the truth. But Sega and Sonic Team have a rocky history when it comes to Sonic. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Sega and Sonic Team have had a lot more blunders than like good games in the last 10 years, unfortunately. When you had something like Sonic Forces that was supposed to be this nice safe game that was going to give us more of what was good, and it turned out to be the way that was, all trust in Sega and Sonic Team was basically just destroyed after that game. There was just no way to really salvage that at that point, besides like giving us something completely different that was going to be just amazing and such. And that's what they're trying to do with Sonic Frontiers. But Sonic Frontiers is so different for the Sonic franchise that it's just a little scary to see Sega and Sonic Team trying this, because despite the fact that we've all been asking for them to do something a little bit more exciting, a little bit more interesting, the fact that it's actually here now and Sega and Sonic Team had this huge responsibility to make something new like this work is kind of scary, because this game is coming 5 years after Forces, the last mainline Sonic game. And if it turns out to be just as crappy as Forces, then it just makes Sonic really go deeper and deeper into this hole that he's created now. And we really just want Sonic to do well, honestly, especially since everything else Sonic-wise is doing pretty well. I mean, you got like the amazing movies, for instance, you got the TV shows coming out and such, merch is flying off the shelves probably. I mean, Sonic is doing well pretty much everywhere you go, besides the video games. And so people really want this game to do well. I feel like this is a big test for Sega and Sonic Team. Like, can they actually take something brand new in terms of a concept and idea and make it good? Because it's been so long since we've seen Sega and Sonic Team really like ace this with Sonic, and it's just terrifying to see them doing this. And that's why people want every single detail they can get their hands on, because they just want to know if this is going to be a good game or not. And that's why people are desperate for a demo in particular, because we want to know, is this going to be a good game? Like, people are just really curious about it, and they just want what's best for Sonic. And I totally get that, I totally understand, and it's just, I think people should just step back and just relax a little bit, because even if this game is not going to be that good, it's not going to be the end of Sonic. Like, Sonic is still going to be here, Sonic's still going to be popping and such. Eventually they'll get it right, eventually they'll get a game that's actually somewhat decent, hopefully anyway. I appreciate that Sega is trying something really different with Frontiers, and something that's going to interest both new and old fans, and I think we should just kind of let them do their thing, you know? There's no use getting like all riled up over all these minute details like Sonic spikes. I mean, come on, why is this like a trending thing within Twitter? Just, it's crazy to me how much of a frenzy Sonic creates over the smallest of things, and that's very much due to their track record and how people are just scared to get another Sonic 06 or a Sonic Boom Riser lyric. And so I think that should just kind of let it go and just kind of like let things come as they come, and just hope for the best, honestly, because all we can do is just see what Sega gives us and just voice our opinions. That's all there is to it. And again, that's why I appreciate them releasing full-on gameplay videos that let us see exactly what the game is like, and hopefully they keep doing that so that we can at least know from a gameplay perspective what we're getting here, because that's important to know before the game comes out. But I think things like story and things happening later on in the game can't be kept a secret. That's how it was in the past, so I don't really see what's wrong with it now. But I think I rambled on long enough. I think Sonic Frontiers' marketing, while it's a little bit questionable, I think it is good for the kind of game that this is, and I think people should just kind of like enjoy the ride as it comes, because this is definitely very different from what we've seen from Sonic before, and I'm looking forward to just seeing what comes up and such. And if it's good, then great. If it's not, then hopefully they try something else next time that's even better. So yeah, that's it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about the marketing of Sonic Frontiers? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Let me know why or why not. Really would love to hear your thoughts. And so take a chill pill, relax, enjoy some nice cotton candy or something. You know, I love you. Special shout out to my patrons, Team Robert Sign Gamer, Trash Q, and Claudia4. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for your support. And yeah, this is Riders, riding out.